Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Mar-Vell, aka Captain Marvel. Maybe they didn't want to put that on there because it could potentially confuse people. Who knows? But just in case you're not aware, this is the original Marvel Comics version of Captain Marvel. He's an iconic character, and I'm really excited to finally have a decent version of him in figure form. The only 6-inch version of Captain Marvel that's out there is the Toy Biz version, and it's not very good. It used the bullseye body, which just over time got worse and worse, and I think the Captain Marvel figure was probably the starting point where that body started to get real bad. So I was never a fan of that figure. I own it. I'm not sure where it's at, so I'm not going to pull it out for this video, but that thing is garbage. I've never displayed it or anything. But I'm super happy to finally have an updated version of him. It's long overdue, so let's go ahead and get into it, starting with the packaging. It's the standard Marvel Legends box. You're able to see the figure. You could see the one thing that he comes with, which is the Build-A-Figure piece for Abomination. And it seems like the comic-based figures of this wave really got the short end of the stick when it comes to the accessories, because so far they haven't come with anything, so that kind of sucks. But anyways, the figure looks cool inside the box. On the side, we get some really cool looking artwork. On the back, we get some more artwork, and we get a look at the other characters that are in the wave. We get a look at the Build-A-Figure, and then we have the iconic short bio there that Hasbro likes to include. And then on this side, we have some more cool looking artwork, and that's about it for the packaging. It is collector friendly, and the figure looks cool in there, so you know, it's a nice box. But let's go ahead and open it up and take a look at the figure. So here he is right out of the box, and he's a really good looking figure. I love the metallic blue on him, and man, look at that. It just looks so perfect. They did a really good job on it. I know it's not the most exciting thing ever. It's basically a repaint of a figure that we have seen a couple times before, but it's not something that's been overused. So far, the only figures I could think of that they've used this body on is Prowler, the Spider UK, and the Walmart exclusive Black Panther. And I like all those figures too, especially the Black Panther one. That's the one that really sold me on this body. So I'm a fan of this buck. I think it's one of the best ones that they've been using so far. It's right up there with the Sunfire body as far as I'm concerned, even though it doesn't have quite the amount of articulation. I do like the build, and I just like the way it looks. I think it has an awesome sculpt. It's a perfect size body for a character like Captain Marvel, and I'm just really happy with the way this thing looks. And as far as the paint goes, there are some minor imperfections, but there's nothing that's too bad. There's just little things here and there. But let's go ahead and start off on the head. So first off, you could see there's a little blue spot on the nose because it looks like they casted the head in blue and then they painted the skin color over. With the hair, they didn't have to worry about it because it was a completely separate sculpt, and you can see the paint detail on the hair is actually really nice. Looks like it's blonde with some brown in there, so that's cool. The ear is a little sloppy, but you know, that's not too bad. Really, on the head, the only big problem is that spot on the nose, so I'll probably go ahead and touch that up. But you know, you can only really see it if you're focusing on it. If you're just kind of messing around with the figure, you're probably not even going to notice that. But you know, I noticed, so I got to do what I can to clean it up. And then right here, the star definitely could have been better. Look at that red right there. That sucks. And then you could see that it looks a little light because you could see the blue underneath it. So that kind of sucks. I'm definitely going to have to touch that up. And then right here on the arms, it looks like the lower arms were casted in blue and then the red was painted over. So you could see some minor chipping there, and the red doesn't quite match the red from the upper arm. And same kind of thing on the underarm here. As you can see, the red is a little darker, so it seems like they casted this ball joint in this metallic blue and then they painted the red over. But luckily, the way that this body is sculpted, this area leaves enough clearance where you're not going to have like a bunch of paint rub, so that is good. And let's see, and I think that's about it, I would say. Like I said, some minor imperfections, but nothing that's like driving me too crazy, you know, just things that I have to touch up slightly. But, you know, nothing too bad. But I really like the sculpt on this body. I like how there's wrinkles, so it looks like it's a person wearing a suit and not just a naked dude. So that's good. This is a really good sculpt. I like the build. I like the way the muscles look. I like everything about this sculpt. So, yeah, I think this is a good body for Captain Marvel. I just wish the paint was a little bit better on it. Aside from that, there's no real issues with the way that it looks. Other than the creases that give you the clothing kind of look on this body, there's not a whole bunch of detail. It's pretty plain, but for somebody like Captain Marvel, it works perfectly fine. You don't really need a lot going on, you know. The only thing they probably could have done is maybe like sculpted the star, made it stick out just a tiny bit. Something like that would have been cool, and then it would have probably been a little bit easier to paint. I think that would have been dope, but you know, that's not really something they do. So for a character with the costume design like Captain Marvel, this body works perfectly fine. The only thing they added onto it was the nega bands, and that's perfectly fine. These things look cool. They move around. They're loose. You could even remove them if you'd like. They're gold, and you know, they're pretty basic, but they work just fine, and they look awesome on him. So I'm very happy with the way that he looks. Even though it's not very exciting and it's pretty plain, it does the job perfectly well. And as you already know, Mar-Vell does not come with any accessories for himself. The only thing he does come with is the Build-A-Figure piece. And as you can see, this is Abomination's left arm. And as I said in the previous videos, this Build-A-Figure does look kind of cool, so I probably will end up building it. But I really do wish that they gave him something. I think it would have been cool if they gave him like an alternate head that had like silver or white hair. Sometimes in the comics it looked like he had white hair, so I think that'd be dope. Or they could have gotten really crazy and given him like an oversized Rick Jones head to maybe float behind him. You know how like when they'd communicate with each other from the negative zone. Something like that would be really cool. Or they could have got super morbid with it and given him like a tombstone. You know, there's always cool things that you could do for any character. Or they could have done something simple like giving him multiple sets of hands, but they didn't. Luckily, they did give him fist instead of weird open gripping hands, so I do appreciate that. But I think it would have been nice if they threw in some type of accessory for him. And now for some size comparisons, we have Captain Mar-Vell alongside the Marvel Legends Genis-Vell, and I would really like to see Hasbro give us a Genis-Vell in this Captain Marvel uniform. I think that would be really dope. And then on the opposite side of that, we have a Kree soldier, which also works as a first appearance Captain Marvel. So I would really like to see Hasbro revisit that costume as well. I think that would be really cool. I've always been a big fan of that look, and that figure is cool, but it's definitely outdated. It's on a very old buck, and the ankles are horrible. So hopefully one day they revisit that. And then next up, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends 80th anniversary Captain America and the 80th anniversary Iron Man. Here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Hercules and the Marvel Legends Vision. Next, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Miss Marvel and the Marvel Legends Super Skrull Build-A-Figure. Of course, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky, Cap, and Pizza Spider-Man. And then last but not least, we have him alongside the Marvel Select Watcher and the Marvel Legends Thanos. And the articulation on this body is pretty good. It's the basic Marvel Legends articulation setup, so there's really no surprises, but I think it works perfectly fine for Mar-Vell. So let's go ahead and take a look. First off, his head is on a ball joint, so it does move side to side. And then we get a little bit of tilt going on in there. He could look up to right there, which is nice for flight poses. And then he could look down to about right there. And then he does have a pretty nice ab crunch. So he crunches forward to right there, which is really good. Check that out. And then he does have a waist swivel. He has ball jointed shoulders, so his arms can go all the way around. And even though he doesn't have a butterfly shoulder joint, I like the way that these shoulders work because the torso sculpt leaves enough room for you to bring his arms out in front of him if you want. Kind of like a butterfly joint. Not nearly as good, but you know, you could still do something with it. So I do like the way these shoulders work. And I like that it doesn't break up the sculpt too much like a butterfly joint, but you still get some nice movement out of it. So that's cool. And then you have an upper bicep swivel. You have double jointed elbows. You have a swivel at the wrist and a hinge at the wrist. He is able to bring his legs out to the side to about right there. Let's see how good he could stand with the wide stance like that. So there we go. So that's pretty good. That's about as wide as his legs will go. So not too bad at all. And then he could kick forward to right there. Could bring it back to right there. He has the upper thigh swivel. He has double jointed knees, which are pretty nice, but it seems like there's a little bit too much plastic right here, so it kind of stops the bend. So you could probably cut away at that if you'd like, but you know, it's fine as is. And then we have a lower leg swivel. His feet could go forward to about right there. They could come up to right there, and then we have rocking ankles. So yeah, like I said, nothing amazing as far as the articulation goes, but I think it's enough for Captain Marvel. Even though it's not the most posable body ever, you could definitely get him into any type of poses that you'd want Captain Marvel to get into. You could also get him into like fighting poses. You could have him swinging his arm across like that. So yeah, you know, the articulation is good. All right, guys, so overall, I'm very, very happy with this figure. And yes, I realize that it's just a repaint of a body that we've seen a couple times before, and they did nothing to make it like special or add anything to make it different. All they did was put the bands on there, threw a different head on the body, and sold it to us. But at the end of the day, it's a good version of an iconic character that we've desperately needed an update of in the Marvel Legends line. So it does its job, and they picked a really good body for it. I think it probably would have been better on the Sunfire body, but I feel like maybe that one might have been a little too small for Captain Marvel. So as far as the size and stuff goes, I think this body's perfect. The only thing it's really missing is butterfly jointed shoulders, but luckily with the shoulders on this body we still get some nice movement because the way that the torso was sculpted. So you know, I'm happy with the body that they used. To mess him up, really all they had to do was put him on the wrong body. They could have put him on the Bucky Cap body and I would have been super pissed off, or they could have put him on the Venom body, which would have sucked for a character like Captain Marvel. You know, they could have, even if they would have put him on this body back here, which works okay for Genisville, I'm fine with it here, but if they would have used it for Captain Marvel, I wouldn't have liked it because those shoulders suck. You could barely even move them. But you know, for Genisville, he has the pads on there anyway, so who cares? But if they would have used that body on Captain Marvel, I would have been mad. So I feel like they used the perfect body that they have in their inventory for this character. Yes, they could have given him some accessories to make him special, maybe some more hands, maybe some other heads. They could have thought of something creative, but they didn't. At the end of the day, they gave us just a plain, basic, nice version of an iconic character, and I'm happy with that. So there it is. I understand that it's boring, but I don't care. I'm really happy to finally have a good Captain Marvel figure in my collection. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And before I get out of here, huge shout out to Cheney180 from the Toy Migos. He's the one who hooked me up with all the figures from the Abomination wave that I have. And on the last two videos, like an asshole, I forgot to shout him out. So my bad. I really, really appreciate you hooking me up with these. Thank you so much. And if you guys aren't familiar with Toy Migos, be sure to follow them. They do an awesome podcast. I'll leave a link in the description below. Also follow them on Instagram and everywhere that you can. But anyways, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Peace.